right, we got my buddy Andrew Spudfit on the line, who I'm now deeming is he's the vegan version of the carnivores, who has experience with a full year of, like, you could say, a vegan carnivore diet, and that carnivores aren't even eating plants, just animal flesh. And Andrew here has his own story of a very limited, long period of time, but limited vegan diet. And I'm guessing that your diet has changed now. You don't only eat potatoes, but why don't you introduce yourself, tell people who you are, where you're coming from, and also we can get right into you giving a background about your year of eating, what you ate, and why you did it, and tell me about the story and what the results were. We'll start there.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. I've been a fan for a long time, so yeah, it's cool to be talking to you on YouTube. So yeah, I'm most people know me as Spudfit, and yeah, my thing, or the reason people know me, is that I ate only potatoes for a whole year. And the short story of how that came about is that I had a realization one day that I was a food addict, and we figured that, everyone knows an alcoholic probably that's, you can quit alcohol for a short period of time, or even a long period of time, and then a special event comes up, for example, and I say, oh, it's my best friend's wedding, I'm just going to have one beer tonight, and then I'll go back to being sober tomorrow. And sure enough, they become a full-blown alcoholic again. And that was I realized that my behavior with food was mirroring that of an alcoholic. So that made me realize that I was a food addict. I would lose weight, put it all back on plus more, lose weight, then decide to have one slice of pizza, and then that would become a whole pizza plus ice cream. And this addictive behavior, I figured if the behavior was the same, then the problem must be the same. So then the treatment must be the same. And so I decided I wanted to quit food like an alcoholic would quit alcohol. Obviously, you can't quit food entirely, so I decided to get as close as I possibly could. And I spent a long time researching, did exhaustive researching, and it turned out that potatoes was the best choice. So I decided to quit food for a year and treat my food addiction in that way with the abstinence model. And yeah, that's how the Spudfit challenge came about. And yeah, so all these people that have popped up since then going, they only eat meat, they're carnivores, and it's it's a little bit.
But when you're talking about the beers and the pizza, those were you were vegan at the time, correct?
Yeah. So I've been vegan for 12 years now, and at the time when I started, I had been vegan for 9 years. So that was an ethical decision, and I definitely am 100% behind the ethics of veganism. But let's not confuse ourselves and say that being vegan is an automatically healthy diet. It certainly can be super healthy, but it can also make you obese and depressed and sick, like I was, if you decide to do the vegan junk food.
There's more than enough vegan processed foods out there. It's abundant.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you say that you researched and found out that potatoes were the best, I want to delve in and get some more details on what you mean by the best. The people listening to this are probably interested in some minute, to some level, kind of more nutritional intelligence. And when you say it was the best, what markers were you looking for? Because of course, it's not that you were trying to eat the healthiest diet for a year. You were trying to treat an emotional addiction, and you figured out that an elimination type of thing was the best for you. So given that context, you had to find what would sustain you best and be the most practical. So what did you research and find out about potatoes in terms, I guess, the nutrition profile is mainly what you're talking about, that it was the right choice versus something like black beans or bananas or dates or something like that?
Yeah, well, that's a really important point you make. This was never intended to be me proving the health of potatoes or trying to find the most healthiest diet. It was just a temporary thing to try to deal with my addiction. And all I wanted to do was find something that could help me do that. So I wasn't like, the carnivore diet is all about this is the healthiest way people should eat and everyone should eat only meat forever because it's perfect. That wasn't my intention. But yeah, so I looked at two different kinds of research. First was the historical kind of research, and we can look through history and see that a number of big populations have eaten very close to only potatoes, not just potatoes, but close to it. You could start with the Irish, for example, that they went for a couple of centuries eating upwards of 95% of their calories coming from potatoes, and they were fit, strong, healthy people, and it was noted at the time that they were bigger, fitter, stronger, and more attractive than their neighbours in England who didn't eat the same diet. Then you can go all the way back to the Aztecs. The Aztecs were the first people that started eating and cultivating potatoes, and they had really good health. We can go to, there are even Papua New Guinean Highlander tribes to this day that eat only sweet potatoes. They'll sacrifice a pig or something maybe once or twice a year, and other than that, their diet's 100% sweet potatoes. And then, the Okinawans of Japan, the highest number of centenarians on the planet, they eat pretty close to only the Japanese sweet potatoes, and they have really, really, obviously, you don't live to 100 if your health is not great. So, and they have the highest number of people who live to 100. So there was things like that. There was a study done in the 1920s with a marathon running couple from Poland, I think it was, and they ate only plain white potatoes for 6 months. And at the end of it, they reported enjoying it. Their health was great, and at the end of it, they ran personal best marathons. So, I could talk for a long time about this, but that was, first thing was the examples of people and populations living on only potatoes or close to only potatoes and doing really well. And then the second part was obviously just going through and checking that they have all the nutrients required. So, it's checked out. They've got enough. Everyone knows that potatoes have carbohydrates, but they've also got enough protein. They've got a small amount of fat. They've got plenty of fiber. They have good water content. They've got vitamin C. They've got iron. They've got calcium. They've really got everything we need. So that gave me the confidence that they would keep me healthy and be a really good vehicle for me to use to then be able to do the internal work that I wanted to do.
So when somebody says, who probably has not done as much research or doesn't believe in the nutritional ideology as you or I, and I say ideology because I'm trying to be like the voice of very unbiased, rational vegans. I think vegans can sometimes be tribal. I've been vegan 6.5 years. I'm more passionate about it than ever. I'm in no way bashing anything about the diet. I'm just trying to be as honest as possible. And, I say nutritional ideology because there are people who are presenting studies and things that are opposing to what we say, and that doesn't take down the vegan diet. It's just saying that in our modern world, we have studies that can prove anything that you want. So playing a game of semantics of this study says saturated fat increases risk of heart disease, and this study says that it doesn't, we just can't even play that game anymore because it doesn't get anywhere. But in terms, you have done research, I've done research about a low-fat plant-based diet that led you to this, but the conventional wisdom of someone that hasn't done any nutritional research at all, I remember growing up and you hear that potatoes are just like empty, useless calories. Like they make you fat. It's like white starch. I'm just talking the most like mainstream, no one, like just what you hear, like that's honestly what my mom told me growing up. Like I thought a white potato was just like a really stupid kind of food to eat. And so I want to hear, what were the results for you after 1 year of doing this elimination diet? What happened to your health? What happened to your weight? What happened to your emotional state? What was your blood work like after a year of it? And I know you're not advocating for this diet for just healthy people long term, and we'll talk about what your diet is like right now. But what happened? What were the results?
Yeah, well, first I'd like to just elaborate a little bit on the science side of things that you talked about. So I've got a little bit of an advantage over the general public in that I've got a science degree myself. So it's not a nutrition science degree, but it does allow me to interpret science and understand the way science works, and it allows me to evaluate study design have a decent understanding of how studies are supposed to work, which most people don't. Now, I just want to talk about one particular study just to give people watching an example. So a few months ago, I read a study about that was supposedly showing that eating eggs doesn't raise cholesterol. And this was everywhere, and eggs are fine. You can eat, I think it was a while ago now that I read it, but it was like 6 eggs a day is okay, which is a crazy number. And they're saying, no, it's totally healthy. It doesn't change any of your cholesterol and all that sort of stuff. So just go ahead and eat 6 eggs a day. I thought this was a bit weird because it goes against other stuff that I've read. So I opened the study up and read through it. And you get to the study design, and they've got 2 groups. One is the study group that's eating 6 eggs a day, and the other is the study group that's not eating 6 eggs a day. And what is the study group that's not eating 6 eggs a day actually eating? Well, instead of eating eggs, they're eating high-fat meats, they're eating bacon, they're eating cheese, they're eating
That's the dumbest study design I've ever heard.
Yeah, so they're both sides of both groups are eating the same amount of cholesterol. They're just not, one group's getting it from eggs and the other's not. And then at the end they say eggs don't raise your cholesterol, so eggs are healthy. But it's like if you compare a crappy diet to a crappy diet, no surprise that they're both the same.
So are you telling me that the studies that some of these keto and meat eating advocates put out are not as legitimately designed and unbiased as the century now of studies that advocate for eating a highly plant-based diet? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I can't claim to have read every single study that keto people reference, carnivores reference, but every time I see a study that they say this proves that meat is the healthiest thing you can eat, like I said, not everyone has the education that I have. Lots of people do, but lots of people don't as well. And I feel like, okay, let's just go and read this study and see if it's actually saying what it is. And I'm yet to see even one single study that compares a keto diet or a carnivore diet to a whole food plant-based vegan diet and comes out on top. If anyone out there has one, share it with me. That people will come up with all sorts of stuff.
This is very important, and I'm glad you're interested in diverting for a second off of your story. Yeah. Ooh, the lights just turned on. That's nice. You guys can see me now. I've said so many damn times in the videos I've been filming in the last 2 days why I have a bandage on my head. It's not because veganism is killing my brain. It's because, long story short, I got a little cut and had to get 2 stitches on a tiny little part of the back of the skin on my head, and the doctor for some reason put this massive bandage on, but I'm totally fine. I did not get beat up, and my head feels great. And it should be off. Should be off tomorrow. It's a part of living the bike life. I have crazy stories and crazy things happen.
I'm glad you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine. So what I want to say is, with that's so important. I'm so glad. I didn't know you have that science background. I don't have a hard science background, but I got my degree in environmental policy and science, and I only graduated 3 years ago. So I also have experience with interpreting and reading different study design. And again, I have yet to see exactly what you just said. And this is anecdotal, but I highly recommend anyone watching now, if you haven't already, and Andrew, you should watch it because you said you want to kind of get into looking more of what people are saying on YouTube this week because it's crazy. But yesterday I was interviewed on my buddy Drew Morgan's channel. He's a ex-vegan, gone carnivore. He's a friend of mine. We've hung out in real life. He's a nice dude. But you got to watch this interview. I'll send you the link. I got him to fully admit 100% that his choice to be on this diet is not based on science, and he admits that it goes against what the Harvard School of Public Health, what the Adventist Health Study, what the American Heart Association, American Dietetic Association recommends, which is to not eat a vegan diet per se, which is an ethical 100% plant-based diet, but to what all of the most credible nutrition institutions advocate is to, based on meta-analysis studies, taking studies of all different types and putting them all together, is that a diet high in whole plant foods with a reduction to 10 to 15% more or less of total calories from animal products is what the best science shows to increase longevity and to decrease risk of heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, osteoporosis, etc. And in my conversation with him, and he's one of these carnivores who's influenced a lot of people, by the way. He's one of the big carnivores now on YouTube, and he not only admitted that he's not basing his diet off of the best nutritional science out there, he admits that he's doing it because in the present moment, it just makes him feel good. And so I said in that interview, okay, if you want to be advocating on the internet to the general population, something that goes against the best studies we have from the smartest people studying this, based on how you feel eating this way for a few months, all your followers can follow you, but that's fine because I'm talking to an audience that's just not making an intelligent choice. So you do what you want to do. But he admitted that his diet is not proven to work as well as what we are advocating for. And I'll also say, all the comments are saying, don't trust those organizations, man. They're biased with this. I mean, they're conspiratorial, literally on the level of flat earthers. And I'm not making videos trying to debunk flat earthers because why would we waste our time? And I think we should almost start treating people who are advocating not only to eat a lot of meat, but these people are advocating that plants are really dangerous to eat. And it just goes against the literally hundreds of years of studies that people have been figuring out. Jay, Plant-Based Athlete, posted an article from the New York Times of a study in like 1906 that was finding connections between high plant-based vegetarian diets and decreased risk of heart disease. And I ask anyone to find 100 years of science from cardiologists advocating for a diet devoid of plants and high in saturated fat and animal protein, and you're not going to find that. Let me save you some time. You're not going to find that. So you have the choice. Do you want to trust the smartest people in the world who are studying this, or a handful of YouTubers with a lot of followers with no nutritional science?
Yeah, and I don't pay that much attention to YouTube. I have 2 kids and I don't get a lot of time to watch YouTube, but I do scan through Twitter from time to time, and there are a few of these guys on Twitter, and it's so strange. They'll post a video of themselves doing a push-up, and they'll go, yeah, look, I can do push-ups. That means carnivore's the best. I'm like, come on, man. Or some guy will do a heavy deadlift and go, this means my diet's awesome and vegans are weak, so eat meat. And they're like, what? This is not evidence.
One of the big responses I've been getting, and keep in mind, I have cycled 16,000 kilometers in the last 20 months. I'm not saying that's healthy, but I live a really intense physical life, and people have been saying, don't trust Jackson. His neck is very skinny. Veganism must not work. I mean, these people have the most, we're saying their diet doesn't work because of the nutritional science, and they literally are going by, you have, you're balding, your neck is skinny, you don't have as big as muscles as me, thus the vegan diet doesn't work. I mean, their association is laughable to someone who is educated.
Yeah, like they don't understand that to get big muscles you have to lift weights, not just eat meat.
Which, by the way, thankfully I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube, and in 2014 and 15, when I lived in college, I was 40 pounds heavier than I am now, and I was really lifting weights consistently and was really big and strong on a vegan diet. I can manipulate my body however I want, eating a low-fat plant-based diet. So that was a great tangent. I'm glad we did it, but I want to hear what happened when you ate potatoes for a year. And keep in mind, guys, this is potatoes not fried in oil with limited or no condiments. I want you to talk about, actually what did you eat, 100% transparency. In addition to, white potatoes steamed and boiled or baked, I'm guessing, what other little condiments did you have? What did it look like? And then what were the results to your body and mind and mental state?
Yeah, well, in the current climate, potatoes for the general population are really what I call a garbage delivery vehicle. So You know, if the garbage truck itself is a beautiful piece of machinery, and it's you know, it's beautifully designed and it does everything it's supposed to do, and yeah, it's really great for the job that it's designed for. But no one wants to go near a garbage truck because they're full of garbage, and that's the way people treat potatoes these days. It's you get a potato, it's a beautiful food, it's perfect in every way, and then you load it up with cheese, cream, bacon bits, you know, whatever, sour cream, all this other junk, you deep fry it, and then you blame the potato. And, you know, the potato itself is a beautiful thing. So just get rid of all the junk and you've got an amazing, perfect food. So the way I ate was, like you said, steamed, boiled, baked, mashed. That was pretty much it. Every now and then, like maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month even, I would make something a little bit more interesting, like potato pancakes or hash browns or something like that. But really it was, yeah, 95% of what I ate was just plain.
And to be more specific, that doesn't mean mixed with flour and stuff. Like that means he's just manipulating a pure potato to be physically palatable in different ways, but the food was just pure potato.
Yeah. So I didn't like make a pancake and mix it with like a whole heap of cream and stuff or like a heap of
or
you
even
know, white
flour or anything like that, right?
Yeah, that's right. So it was just potato, and the only thing I did add was when I made mashed potato, I'd use a little bit of soy milk just to help it like be mashed potato. But that was the only thing I really added, and then I would also every now and then, most of my meals were just plain potatoes, but sometimes I would add some dried herbs and spices or maybe like a tiny, tiny bit of ketchup or barbecue sauce or something like that. So, but yeah, I'd say like at least 99.5% of my calories came from potatoes.
Wow.
And it was white potatoes and sweet potatoes. And yeah, and so I ate that for a whole year, 366 days because it was a leap year. And
what was your weight? What was your weight in pounds? Because I mainly have an American audience. What was your weight in pounds when you started and when you ended?
I remember it was 336 when I started, and I'm not sure what it was in pounds when I finished. Maybe 205 or something.
Wow, so you lost over 100 pounds for sure.